Cancer's fucking heartbreaking.
Oh God, it is. My note on that is literally straight sadness. Like it's, and it's a good sadness. And that's what I like about MCR too, is just how much emotion they're able to actually get through with feeling in these early albums.
Greetings and welcome to Old Drunken Discography, where old friends and fans come together to BS, argue, occasionally agree, and discuss a musical artist. Some upcoming artists we are covering are Typo Negative, Creep Show, and our 100th episode redoing Nirvana. If those interest you, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Today's artist, though, is My Chemical Romance. We will be ranking the 4 studio albums along with Conventional Weapons because it kicks ass. I think the story of Demolition Lovers is so good. You know, coming back from the dead, all that stuff. Another good love story, a haunted love story, is Bag of Bones by Stephen King, 1998. We need everyone to sign up for X or Twitter or whatever the hell it's called now, because it's where Stephen King hangs out, and ask him to come on the show to talk about his favorite bands. I'd like to give a YouTube shout out to Cam. Know how much he loves MCR or MCHR, as I've heard from a certain Facebook group. With me today, teenagers scare the living shit out of him, Tim.
How's it going?
Vampires will never hurt him, Colquitt.
No, I don't. I think
because he's got.
Cora agrees. Cora agrees. Vampire, you can't fuck with vampires. It's not going to happen.
And our returning special guest, look alive, sunshine. It's Bill.
Hey, glad to be back.
He is the ghost of you. That's Jason.
There you go. I did not use that one, so we're still good for the next episode.
Nice.
So, who wants to start out with their relationship with My Chemical Romance? I had to bring Bill. You know, he's a younger generation. I had to get some youth on here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't have much of a relationship with him. This was a new discography for me. I pretty much ignored most of the alternative rock scene throughout that entire decade because what I was being exposed to all sounded the same to me. So, yeah, this was a new discography for me. But I would say that my relationship is positive.
It's short, but positive. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Colquitt?
Like I guess when in my early 20s, I was in a relationship with a girl, and she was really into "I Brought You My Bullets," like super into it, and I just I was like, you know, in my early 20s, and was like, yeah, if you like it, then I can't like it, even though I'm in a relationship with you, because that's how stupid people are in the 20s. But it was from that dark period of time. Yeah, it was there. It was like 2002, and it was the golden age of like other hardcore and emo at the same time. So I was listening to other stuff when it came out, so I didn't give it much attention. And when Three Cheers dropped, obviously, you could not go through life and not hear "I'm Not Okay" or "Helena" at that point in time. Those were super huge songs, and I enjoyed those songs, but I never went and checked out any of the record. And Black Parade, I knew it was popular, but I never heard it. So this was all pretty new to me too, even though I know of the band.
All right. What about you, Bill?
Well, let's see. Black Parade came out in 2006. I was probably in 3rd grade. Sounds about right. Maybe 4th grade. Needless to say, well, at that point, I was riding the bus to and from school, hour-long ride. So those of you remember from the Offspring album, you know, I would listen to songs. I didn't know who the artist was, but I knew I liked the song. Thing I remember was their song "Teenagers." You know, singing along to that as a kid, the chorus part. Then growing up older, I'm like, that's what they're actually singing about. Okay, so you know, just kind of like a newfound discovery. You know, as I've gotten older, you know, digging deeper into some of their different albums, different songs, and yeah, I've always similar to Offspring. I started out, I liked them. I didn't know it was My Chemical Romance when I started out listening to them, but I know now. And yeah, they're definitely up there as one of my favorite bands.
Nice.
All right. Me, it was Cowboy. By 2004, I was done watching MTV and Fuse and all that crap. And he's like, "Oh, you got to listen to this band." He would always bring me these, crappy pop punk bands from that time, like well, I don't want to spoil any of those, but your good Charlotte
But there
type
were a
stuff.
few of them.
Yeah. And he's like, "You got to watch this video." And I watched it, and I can't remember if it was Helena or if it was I'm Not Okay. But I was like, that was pretty fucking good. So then I listened to the album, and I was like, this is really fucking good. I put, the story, the Demolition Lovers, all that stuff. I went back and got the first album, loved it, and I've been a fan ever since. So.
Very cool. Very cool.
I guess we'll do our colors now. So for me, they're all green. It's a short discography, and they all have merit. So, what about you, Tim?
I would agree with that. Actually, they do all have merit. I might put 4 and 5 in the Proceed with Caution, but they're kind of borderline. I think if you get through the first 3, then these 2 you'll especially love.
Okay. Cold quit.
I'm gonna go all yellow. No reds. There's no reds.
Oh,
And
dang.
I have a positive view about all these records too. It's just I don't feel like anything's must hear. That's all.
Okay.
We're checking out though for sure.
Bill, what about you?
Here's the thing coming in here. I didn't want to be that guy that said all green. Here, Jason already did that, so I don't have to be afraid of doing that.
No, do it, man. Follow your heart, man. For real.
Yeah, I say stick them all green as they all have merit, and well, I'll get into when we're talking about the albums, but yeah, they.
I thought you were
deserve it.
coming. Like, I don't be that guy and put them all red.
No,
Hell no.
Switch on us.
Dude, the important thing is there are no reds. There is not a bad record by this band.
I had a couple, Joe wanted to come back and do MCR so he could say he could trash all over him. Hillary wanted to come back and trash all over him. So I was like, I got to find somebody who likes the band to come on. I was like, hey, that guy likes Offspring. I bet he likes My Chemical Romance.
Oh, damn right I do. Well, I'm young enough to like them too, so.
All right. So the way we do it now is we just go down the discography and we'll rank them. We only got 5 here, so we're not going to do any hidden number ones or anything like that. So we'll start
Every
with
album will be ranked as they are told.
as they are told. Should make for a shorter episode.
Heard that before.
You guys
All
ready
right.
for part 4?
Yeah. MCR part 4.
Only 5 albums. We didn't want to do 5 sections.
Hey, we talked about That Dog for over an hour. That was only 4 albums. So
Yeah. We had 4 people. What? We got 4 people.
We have 4 people now.
Let's do it, dude. Let's go.
all right. This album, yeah. Who wants to talk about it first? Bill,
Well, so according to my research, they basically recorded this like 5 months after being a band, like even starting as a band. And so if that's the case, they kind of nailed it out of the park, I think. Like the production on here is really good. The songs all flow really nicely. I do have a couple production issues. I'm not the biggest fan of the guitar distortion overall. I do think that improves as the album budgets get bigger, of course. But yeah, no, I thought this was a really strong debut album. Like, I didn't like every song, but the ones I liked, like, let's see, Our Lady of Sorrows had a really cool chorus. I thought Early Sunsets over Monroeville, it looks like that was about Dawn of the Dead, which is pretty cool. Plus, it was a really just odd song to throw on the album. And then the last like 3 or 4 songs here, yeah, they just rock. I wish I was a bigger fan of the guitar tone, but other than that, everything else was performed really well.
Yeah, the bassist, which is Gerard, the singer's brother, like learned to play bass to play up this album. Like he's not a bass player. Like he in the special thanks I was reading, he's like, and thanks to Mikey for learning how to play bass for this.
You know, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So when I was first time I listened to this album, you know, I thought it was you could have fooled me and said like Elena Sigmund had been the one who like written and like produced some of the songs. So Elena Sigmund, fun fact, is the one who wrote and produced the COD Zombies music for Treyarch. And I just felt there's a lot of those vibe undertoned through that, and like I don't know if that production wise or just how it kind of toned itself out. Yeah, I definitely, you know, agree with being a fact that, you know, his first album 5 months in, like this would actually well done. And like I got notes on a bunch of different songs and just it's overall positive just as we go through.
I like the production. I mean, it's raw. It's, you know, it just doesn't sound as good as some later stuff, but you know, the energy on this record is fucking so good. I love this album. I love this story. I love the Demolition Lovers.
Mm-hmm.
NFG wishes they could write a fucking love song like that. It's so good.
But say that because that's the other thing I like about it is how they end this album with Demolition Lovers already tying into their next album, like they were already thinking ahead a couple of years. Which, especially if they release this album 5 months into getting together, that's something else.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's so great about him. Every album is a story. You know, it's a.
Yeah.
I love that kind of that Ziggy Stardust writing. You know, Bowie, Floyd.
Well, we'll get to that in a later album, but I didn't hear much Ziggy Stardust in here, but I wasn't reading the lyrics either. I was just trying to take it in, you know, first impression, like, how is it as music? And yeah, just doing the research, I saw, you know, there's some pretty cool topics on the album. And yeah, it's, you could tell they had access to a lot of really good equipment in that studio.
The first line, the amount of pills I'm taking counteracts the booze I'm drinking, is just, I'm hooked after that. The whole fucking thing is so good. I love this record.
That was a great opening line to that first song after Romance, obviously, but like that was a great opening.
And then it ends with I'd end my days with you in a hail of bullets and in this pool of blood, and as we're falling down, I'll see your eyes in this pool of blood, I'll meet your eyes, I mean this forever. And then it just, long ago, it's like the hearse, like it just bleeds right into it. It's fucking so good. What about you, Will? Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to put our ranks first and talk about it?
No, because I don't have the same opinion as you guys, and
That's okay.
Like for me, like I'm a proto emo kid, like so I was listening to emo shit in like the 90s, in 97, I guess, is when I really started getting into it. And a lot of these songs remind me of bands that I listened to from then. So I'm not, it doesn't sound like an original band to me yet. Like I feel like they get there pretty quickly, but it does to me sound like they just got started 6 months ago, but then they put out this record. Cause like Drowning Lessons like sounds like legitimately like a cross between The Day the Sun Went Out by Boy Sets Fire and 4 Minute Mile by the Get Up Kids. Like it's got that vibe all the way straight through it. Mineral's a band I hear a lot on a lot of these songs. And then the other songs that aren't like kind of like mid-90s emo Midwest sounding are like pretty good, like metalcore kind of riffage, like awesome songs with like super bright poppy choruses, which is weird because it's got like a pop punk vibe and a metalcore vibe simultaneously. And my brain just can't decide. I feel like they haven't quite found their groove between those two things yet. So this record's not on. It's actually my number 5. I'll put it there, but it's good. I don't dislike a lot of it at all. Like it's a really good record. But it's just it sounds too much like they were a band that just started and their influences are way more evident than they are on some of the other records. Or on the other later records, they do their influences are showing, but they do them in a good, fun way. You know, that kind of is an homage instead of whatever. Anyway, yeah. So what are y'all ranking it at?
It is my. This is probably my only hot take. It's my number 2.
Ooh.
I fucking love this album.
I'm going number 3 with it.
You know, I am so glad I'm not the only one putting it up here because this was also my number 3 album. I was worried I'd have this the highest out of everyone just because of their other albums. But
don't worry, I'll be upsetting to everyone.
I mean, then again, Jason and I literally went all greens anyways, so.
Yeah, I will say depending on the date, my 2 and 3 could swap it. Meaning, number 1 is number 1 though.
Oh, that's because mine was my 3 and 4 when we get to it. Those because even right before we started recording this, I was sitting there like, gosh darn it, I like them both. One has to go higher, one has to go lower though.
Yeah,
something's got to fall into place.
Something's got to give.
That's why I like our color coding system. I don't feel as bad putting some number 5. I'm just saying it's good.
Yeah, and maybe you don't like a record, but you think you should hear it, and you can put it at number 6 and still put it at green.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, up next, the story of a man, a woman,
and the
voices
devil
of 1,000 evil men.
Yeah, and I just don't pay attention to lyrics anymore. Apparently, I never catch the concept.
This is a fucking horrible pressing. It is shit, and I hope they put it back out again.
What's wrong with it? It was pretty.
Shit. Oh, I mean, like it looks cool.
Did they get it off of MP3s or something?
I don't know.
I mean, it was the time where that was a thing that would have happened for sure.
Yeah.
They haven't, I've heard other pressings are better, and I've seen other people complain about that one. But anyway, I fucking love this fucking record.
Yeah. I feel like this is the record where they found what My Chemical Romance sounds like to a T.
Mm-hmm.
This is like more definitive than Bullets for me, because this sounds more like a band that is a band now. Like they sound like unique in themselves all the way through.
Because my exact note is at the top is they found their identity with their album.
Yeah,
because not just the sound, but also the topics and how they portray the topics and deliver everything. Like they started to do that in Bullets, and then this one they just brought everything together and they said, nope, this is what we're going to sing about. This is how we're going to sing it. This is how we're going to play it. This is how we're going to sound. We're going to go with this, and just through and through, this album starts and ends wonderfully. Like great sounds, great songs all the way through.
This is probably in my top 50, maybe 100. I'd have to see a list of albums of all time. This
100.
Wow.
100 easy. I don't know about 50, but 100 for sure. For sure.
Yeah, when I said 50, I was like, maybe 100. The storytelling, the songwriting, the instrumentation, the production, it's just a fucking perfect album for me. Every song on this album could be a top song. The deep cuts like Jet Set, Cemetery, You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison are just as good as the Ghost of Views and the I'm Not Okays. Helena fucking rips as the opening, and holy shit, that closing track, that outro, fucking I tried, and we'll love again, we'll laugh again, we'll cry again, we'll dance again, and it's better off this way, so much better off this way. I can't clean the blood off the sheets in my bed. Like the whole album is just phenomenal. That's all I got to say about that.
I'd say Helena is S tier no matter what. Like that song and I'm Not Okay are both S tier songs.
Yeah.
If I like even if I'd never go back and listen to one of these records, those songs will always be in my like brain. Like my internal radio will play one of those songs at some point in time. It doesn't matter. Like they're big songs. I think this record's a little bit more hit or miss, but that's also because some of it seems a little repetitive to me. But other than that, it's awesome. Ghost of You is like pretty crazy power ballad. Give 'Em Hell and The End are like just perfect My Chemical Romance songs. Like they sound like what I expect that band to sound like. And God, what was it? Oh yeah, Thank You for the Venom is such a fun little metal rockin' jam and thrashy, and I enjoyed it a lot for sure. Good record.
I forgot to say, we saw them in 2005, so it was before the Black Parade. We were more hyped to see the opening act, which was Alkaline. But we saw MCR live, and they were fucking so good. And then a year later, we saw them open for the Muse for the Black Parade. And again, it was just theatrical. It was like they don't suck live. I mean, even now to this day, if you watch like their reunions, like Gerard's in fucking cheerleading outfits, and he looks different every shit. One, they all have shirts say Mikey fucking Way on it. Hey, that's all I can say. Great band live. What about you, Tim? What were your thoughts on?
Yeah, I'm kind of in between you guys, actually. There were a couple low points on the album for me, but overall, yeah, the high points are really high. Yeah, you're right about To the End. That is like that's like a poster board song for the entire scene. Everything that the scene does, that song does. You know what they do to guys like us in prison. You could tell they were kind of almost maybe going for a radio sound on that one. But then the chorus is like really cool and offsetting. Let's see. The Jet Set Life is going to kill you is fun. Yeah, Thank You for the Venom. Hang 'Em High has Keith Morris on there. And so shout out to Keith Morris. That's awesome. It's not a fashion statement. It's a death wish. I liked it, but I might like the title more than the song. But I did like that. Yeah, I thought overall this was a step up from the first album, but still retained all the energy from it, while introducing what would come later as far as songwriting goes, without going too far into Desmond Child territory.
They don't get that. They don't get that bad.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But they get close. They get close in a couple spots.
Yeah, I could see that on some of Danger Days has a little bit of Desmond.
Yeah,
Child
they get
to
close.
it. Yeah.
So that's what I got for that album.
Yeah, I would say that like one of the things about this band though is that their choruses are always like super pop radio choruses. Like they belong on radio.
Sure.
So they were never trying not to be on the radio for sure. I feel like they show that more on a couple of later records more than on this one for sure. But
well, and I'm even meaning more like just like songwriting style. The songs are a little more linear.
Got you. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think by the 2000s, the whole not getting on the radio thing wasn't really the biggest deal as it was in the 90s. Like,
well, radio was already starting to die anyway. So
Yeah,
Well, true, but what they were
2004.
playing on the radio had a formula.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
It was easily,
no, it's
easily
verse,
duplicated.
chorus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Specific.
Yeah, I mean, this was the height of Newfound Glory and pop.
Brand New
Yeah.
was happening. Taking Back Sunday was happening. There was a lot of stuff happening. Jimmy Eat World was super popular around that time too. A lot of
That's when Queens of the Stone Age broke.
yeah,
And that's when the Foo Fighters were doing like Times Like These. That was a huge song. And
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
the White Stripes.
Oh wait, we haven't ranked it yet, have we?
No.
It's not.
Tell you what, before anyone else, I'll come out here and rank it. Yeah, this was my number one album.
No word.
like this again story all the way through. First of all, I love an album with a good narrative. I love it when the band is able to divide it up and have something overarching the entire album. They had a couple songs intermittent like Jet Set Life, but Jet Set Life was still a great song. Had nothing to do with the Demolition Lovers, but was still a great song. That ties into the theme, ties into the beat, the sound of the band, and everything. Phenomenal the whole way through with this album. I'd be with Jason actually with probably one of my top 100, if not close to top 50 albums.
Yeah, it's my number one if you couldn't tell.
Honestly, Jason, you're always so very positive about the things you really love.
So are you guys, though. I mean,
it could have
go
been
back and
number
watch
4,
Tim
and you
when
would
he
have.
talks
I would have been
about
like, yeah.
Ride the Lightning.
Timmy, what about you, man?
Also, my number one.
Really?
Nice. Oh,
Gosh,
that wasn't
darn it. Are we sweeping?
No, we're definitely. I mean, you put it under me though. You put it under me, not Tim. Jason. It's not my number one. It's my number 2. It's my number 2.
With caution.
You know?
But it was going to be proceeded with caution no matter what. They were all yellow.
I know, but
yeah, I know. Yeah, look,
it wasn't a surprise.
The scene I come from, and my age group in particular, heard a lot of stuff like this before it came out and before it hit mass consciousness. So a lot of this stuff, I'm like, there's other bands that do it just as well, if not better, sometimes. So that's where I'm from with it.
They might do the same, but I don't know if they do it better. I mean, this is clearly.
It's also a matter of taste. Like, this band has much more of a pop punk drum sound than most of the bands that would be considered emo or hardcore even. So it's more upbeat. The upbeat is definitely there in most of these songs. And I'm a downbeat guy, man. Like, it's just a personal choice kind of thing for me.
I still think that this album exists because of Blink-182's Untitled. I think that had a lot of influence in it.
When did Untitled come out, though?
2003?
2003?
2 or 3.
No, you're right. Yeah. Shit. Maybe, man.
I think that's storytelling, because that album is. We'll get to Blink eventually, but
yeah, I can't wait.
The storytelling in this album alone, like, sucked me in. It got me hooked. The music was secondary. It just so happened the music was good too. May not be original, but it's still good.
No. I feel like this is their first real original album for sure. Like, it's still original. It's just I don't like pop punk drum beats. That's all.
I actually got more of like an 80s glam rock vibe from the drums.
I get that on Black Parade a lot, actually. I get more of the 80s like metal vibe going on for that one for sure.
I think they had a different drummer on the first album.
Yeah.
I never kept
I think they had a different one on almost all of them.
Yeah, because
Bob's on both. I think Bob's on both 3 Cheers and Black Parade.
Yeah, whoever's on Danger Days and Conventional Weapons, I could tell that was a different drummer for sure.
Yeah, because he's in the picture of this one. I think that's him. Speaking of, go to the Black Parade. Album. Well, I guess we'll get to that, but the vinyl album art is much. Let's talk about this one first, because this is a biggie, I think. Good or bad, it's going to be a biggie.
Yeah.
We can get mine out of the way if you want.
Go ahead. Lay it on us.
I enjoyed the I didn't. I went into it thinking I was going to hate it just because it is arguably their biggest record, and it was the record that, like, I felt had more cultural cachet with the kids coming up and the hot topics around the country. But like, it's good. There's some songs where I'm like, they're Cancer. Like, I know lyrically, no, for real, lyrically, super important song, and I can see how it's helped people and all that kind of stuff. But it's a Beatles song, and I could listen to the Beatles if I wanted to hear that song. You know what I mean? Like, there's stuff like that, and like Mama's kind of like a Go-Go Bordello kind of vibe, but then it goes like into this really sweet chorus, and it's pretty sweet. I thought Sleep was really good. I thought like Disenchanted was a really great Bon Jovi song. There's a couple of really great Bon Jovi songs on this record. House of Wolves is Detroit Rock City until the chorus goes pop. Like, dun-dun, 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 and then it goes into
I heard Detroit Rock City on a different album.
I was in the oh really? Dang. Because like House of Wolves, man, I was in the shower just listening to it, you know, and then it went done. I was like, Detroit, and it didn't go Detroit, and it was cool though. Thought the title track is them finally going full Queen and just tearing it apart and being amazing. It's not one of my favorite songs on the record, but it is so I like respect, no question. Not my vibe. Totally respect it though. And I thought my favorite song was This Is How I Disappear. I thought that was just a crazy, amazing song. Probably one of my top 5 songs from this band even. Like I thought it was crazy good. And I love the opening, the end, and it's just really good. I mean, it's a good damn record, just not my cup of tea. That's all. But it's probably their best album. And that's why it's my number 1, actually. I know I'm different. I always talk the worst trash about the ones I rank number 1 because I feel like I have to like tear them down before I build them back up. But like, it's literally like, for real. It's like it's actually the best start to finish album. Like it is a solid album. Like I thought that like I don't know the story. I wasn't paying attention to the concept so much, but it has a flow and it works from start to finish for real. Like musically. I'm not even talking about lyrically, just musically. It starts from start to finish, except for Cancer, which I thought it has its place on the record. It's just not my favorite song ever. But yeah.
All right, Tim. It was not your number 1, so
It is not my number 1. I'll agree with Colquitt that This Is How I Disappear is the best song on the album. I thought that was great. The rest of it left me lacking. They definitely went in a more pop direction with this album, just songwriting wise, production wise. The one good thing about the production I liked about this over the previous 2 albums is they finally fixed the guitar tone on this album. Like the guitars sound really good on here.
Yeah. No, the production was stellar for sure.
Yeah, but the songwriting left me lacking a little bit. Like Mama had the Danny Elfman influence written all over it, and I'm not sure where I've heard Teenagers before, but
had to have been on
anywhere
like
on the radio.
Yeah, it was
I've
huge.
heard it before too.
It's still big. TikTok still uses it.
I mean, maybe, but like the melody of it is what I'm talking about, not necessarily this recording, but
Gotcha.
like I've heard that song somewhere else, somewhere before.
Like T-Rex, maybe?
I could hear that. Sometimes. I do love me some T-Rex. So
I love T-Rex. Yeah.
And yeah, this album, like if we're going to put it in the context of T-Rex, I know when I first heard Electric Warrior, I kind of laughed and went, wow, every modern rock band is still kind of chasing this one. And this definitely falls in that category, I think. Although I don't think they're chasing it as hard as other bands were. But yeah, this one's going to be my number 4. I thought this one was probably the least interesting out of all of these. I found it pretty predictable as far as the songwriting went. Disenchanted. My notes also mentioned Bon Jovi.
Yeah, that's the Bon Jovi song for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's probably their best logo, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
And just the album didn't do much for me. So
when this album leaked, like we were I was waiting for it. It leaked. I burned it to a CD. Then I burned another copy because Cowboy doesn't know how to use computers. And I drove 45 minutes to Pensacola. I said, Cowboy, get your ass up. I'm on my way. I got something for you. I gave him a copy of it. We walked down to the beach. And we listened to it for the first time, and it was so fucking good. This album is so fucking good. It's not my favorite, but again, every song is just Mama, y'all don't talk about Mama now.
I mean, it's ambitious. It is ambitious.
The story again is just, it's so good. Bill, what do you got?
Oh, I'll be honest. When I first, said, "Hey, can I come on for MCR?" Like, I legitimately thought I was gonna stick this album at number one, just because it's what I grew up like. This is what I was listening to. Like this, these are those songs that I knew for a fact were MCR, and the story that carries through it is, it's not as good as Three Cheers, but it's still a good story that carries through. It's still good songs that carry through as well. Again, good messages and everything else.
Cancer's fucking heartbreaking.
Oh
The
god, it
context
is.
of the song.
But my note on that is literally straight sadness. Like it's, and it's a good sadness. And that's what I like about MCR too, is just how much emotion they're able to actually get through with feeling in these early albums. The major issue I found, which I didn't realize until I really listened to all 5 albums back to back to back to back to back, this is the album where they really started to change, as we're saying, to more of that pop punk vibe, where it's a little bit more poppy. You got a little bit of an undertone started really in this album. Then the future albums, they got more away from it, and in my opinion, they got less original sounding as they went on after this album. Definitely Pinnacle was Three Cheers, and actually Black Parade, therefore for me, ends up at number 2 because it still is good songs, good story, and everything. Just starts to try to tail off as we're getting towards these last 2 albums, which anyone can see what my last 2 slots are.
Even like the famous last words. It's a great song, but to me, it's not as good as the closing tracks on the previous two.
Oh yeah.
It's my number 3. I still highly fucking recommend, and I think this is one of those albums that people are going to be talking about in 15, 20 years. Like it is a defining album, whether you like it or not. I think people are going to be talking about this and American Idiot.
Yeah. I mean, when people say My Chemical Romance, this is the album cover they also think of first. I can almost guarantee it, especially in my generation at least. Like, we knew him for Black Parade. Like 2006, I said 3rd grade. We were maybe a little bit too young for 3 Cheers of Sweet Revenge, especially with how more alt and punk metal rock it was for a lot of it. Like Black Parade, just how it was also kind of like Jason's comment where Pretty Fly for a White Guy was just beat into you guys with a metal baseball bat. I mean, Black Parade and Teenagers, for me at least on the radio, was kind of beat into me with a baseball bat, which I mean, I still like them though. But there was just, I could guarantee it on the ride home from the bus ride home that was an hour long, I was either going to hear Teenagers or Black Parade at any point during that
Boulevard
week.
of Broken Dreams.
Or oh my god. Or Holiday. Or American Idiot. How there were times you I'd hear all 5, I swear. Oh god. Now you may take me back to my bus ride days.
Those are the best days.
Well, screw the bus ride days. We into Danger Days yet?
That was a nice segue.
Excellent.
I was going to talk more about Black Parade, but damn, that was a good segue.
I was just going to say, like, all those songs are really well put together, for sure.
Yeah, fucking Dead rocks. I mean, it's a damn good album.
I would say that was almost, in my opinion, their most emotional album. I felt that album was more emotional than the other 2 albums too, which, I mean, that's fine. As I say, they found their identity 3 Cheers, and then they kind of exemplified it, at least tried to, with Black Parade, which I feel they succeeded in.
I connected more with the love story or the revenge story than I did like the patient dying. In my head, I always had the patient was like just continuation of that, the first guy's story, but it is its own thing, I guess. And so is Danger Days. It's its own thing.
Yeah, this record's really weird. Like, in a good way, but It's weird. it's like 2 records almost. Like there's a first and a second half for sure.
It was a grower album for me. Yeah, I didn't love it when it first came out. I still highly
Well, that's
recommend
good
it.
to hear because it's a tough one to hear for the first time.
I love all the death-defying broadcast, which is Steve from Mindless Self-Indulgence. Which some of the songs just aren't up to the level of their previous albums.
Mhm.
Bulletproof and Sing, I can skip. Love Na Na Na. Only
Na na
Hope.
na 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 na
Party
na.
Poison. Scarecrow, Save Yourself. I mean, the whole fucking album is really good. I thought Destroya was dumb as shit the first time I heard it.
Oh, dude, same, but I love it.
But I grew. It's one of my favorite songs on there now. It just reminds me of Godzilla versus Destroya. The kids from yesterday are just fucking great. Yeah, I love this one. It was just a grower for me, I guess. 2010, I'd probably moved on to something else.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like the introduction thing is cool. It's like, oh, it's fun. But then Na 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 started, and I was like, okay, well, this is how you're gonna start a record. Where you're definitely more power pop. This is definitely the best way to start out this record. It was so I thought I was gonna hate it, but I actually really, really liked it. And then Bulletproof Heart came on, which although in general I don't think it's as good a song, that chorus reminds me of a Placebo song. And it's Gravity, Special K. And it's awesome. And I love that part. But the rest of the song, not so much. I didn't care for the verse that much. I think Sing sounds like a Linkin Park song without a rap and without a hook. I didn't enjoy it at all. Thought Planetary was kind of disco, not in a cool, fun, inventive disco kind of way. It was just not a good disco song for me. And I don't hate on disco. There's good disco and there's bad disco for sure. Only Hope is like extremely pop again. And then Party Poison is literally Living After Midnight by Judas Priest. And when it got to it's weird because the last half of this record have some of my favorite My Chemical Romance songs, but I also heard everything that they were kind of aping with it. What is it? Scarecrow's kind of weirdly starts out like a Smashing Pumpkins Today kind of riff, and then it goes into another mid-90s alt-rock band that needed a single or a Kiss song even. And then Summertime is lovely, super lovely. I love that song, but it's basically a Killer song. And I'm okay with that though. And the Destroya is the weirdest shit ever because it's like Jane's Addiction via Taking Back Sunday with a weird Fugazi chorus. I don't understand what all's happening there, but I like it a lot. It is amazing. I thought, and then Kids from Yesterday has kind of got a New Order Temptation thing going on with it. And then Vampire Monkey Money is although Vampire Monkey would be pretty
Monkey
would be dope as hell actually. It's kind of
I'd watch that movie.
The riff reminded me a lot of Elvis Costello's Pump It Up, but just super faster and more aggressive. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of artists and songs I love that are I feel are referenced on this record, and it's crazy. It's good. I enjoyed it, but the first half is weird and the second half is weird, but in a good way. I don't know. It's just bizarre hearing it for the first time.
Oh,
Yes,
I definitely feels.
I did just write down Vampire Monkey because we're going to circle back to that.
Hashtag it. This one definitely does feel like their most experimental album. There's a lot of influences that you can see them grabbing from, and I wasn't really sure how to really take all that in. My notes for Destroya also mentions Jane's Addiction. The Kids from Yesterday sounded very U2 to me.
Yeah.
It's I think the production on it is probably the best out of all of these because there's so much interesting stuff going on in the mix.
Agreed. Destroya in particular, for sure. It's just hitting you
sure.
Crazy.
And Party Poison. It's and Sing, Like, there's some stuff going on there. The songs didn't necessarily grab me, but the production kind of saved it. It was a little weird having the DJ come through and basically have the same premise as Queens of the Stone Age's Songs for the Deaf, which came out 7 years before this album did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not a bad album, but I think as far as what I understand My Chemical Romance to be and what I picture in my head that they sound like, this isn't necessarily it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna piggyback right off of that comment. Actually, is that's my biggest, I'll say, complaint about this album, because it's they have the same ideas. Because Sing has the same ideas, standing out against society, but that's okay, like, and all that other stuff. But like, this Black Parade started them sounding different. Now they just went full more, almost pop rock at times rather than pop punk. Even like it's. I was listening to the song, like, I didn't even know that My Chemical Romance did Na 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 until I listened to them. Like, what the hell is this song doing on their album? I thought it was someone completely different. I'm like, well, shows how much I know about this shit. Like, because actually, hilarious part, because I listened to this album the second time for this recording after I was listening to just my random mix, which when listening for MCR stuff always gets really out of whack sometimes. Because the last song I heard there was actually Beastie Boys Intergalactic. And I'm listening to Planetary Go. I'm like it's not the same, but like I get the same vibe from it. So it's kind of weird listening to that the whole way through. And yeah, this was, I mean, everything sounded cleaner and more together, but I almost want to say it almost sounded too clean, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not what I'm looking for in like a punk or alt rock or any of that type of band stuff. Like, it's good, but it's not what I would label as MCR.
That's fair, for sure.
This is like the Green Day's Warning for My Chemical. It's like it's not what I want from My Chemical Romance, but because I got it, it grew on me and I liked it. Like, I went in thinking I wasn't, when I was doing my rankings, I was like, I don't have a good memory of Danger Days like I did the other ones. And this one, when I listened to it, I was like, fuck, this album's really fucking good. I just don't think they pull off the whole apocalyptic story as well as they did Black Parade or 3 Cheers. So that's the only reason I put it where I'm going to rank it. But before we rank this album, we need to cut to a commercial break. And we're in the Halloween time frame right now. See my Halloween tree? So we'll see you in a minute.
Carving your own Halloween pumpkin can be a lot of fun for grown-ups.
Hey kids, isn't this fun?
But with the pumpkin cutter, children of all ages can easily design and carve their own Halloween pumpkins in complete safety. The pumpkin cutter is simple and safe to use. There are no sharp edges, yet it quickly cuts through all pumpkins smoothly. Any child can learn to use the pumpkin cutter the very first time. Make this Halloween extra special with the pumpkin cutter.
Available at Pathmark, Genovese, and Rickles Home Centers.
Welcome back from that commercial. Please, whatever. Who cares about them? They're not paid.
Buy their products.
We are going to rank Danger Days. And I'm going to put it number 4. Because again, it is a full concept. It doesn't land as well as the other albums, but it still works for me. I love some of the songs. I could put top songs. Na Na Na. I love it. It's fucking so stupid and fun. But yeah, number 4. Still recommend.
Well, I'm gonna follow right behind that one. I may as well, because it's also my number 4. So I got a lot of fun ones. As I said, for me, this one and Brought You My Bullets, they could get intermingled, changed in my opinion, at any point. But just this week, I was feeling, Bullets being a little bit better.
All right.
Curious about yours, Tim.
I'm going number 5. Yeah, it's not a bad album. I'm not putting it in red. But be warned, it's a little experimental.
It's my number 3.
Really?
Dude, like that first after Na Na Na, there's like 3 songs that I just did not like it like very much. But the last half of that record is killer, man. Like super, like kind of unique in its own way, in a way that My Chemical Romance has never sounded to me before. And yeah, man, I think it's really good. Like some of like 3 or 4 of those last songs are definitely in my top 5 songs. Like it's pretty intense.
All right. Interesting. All right. Number 5. It's not MCR 5, but we're still going to, we threw it on here because fuck it.
We need another album.
It's our list.
Yeah. I mean, it's 5 singles and it all sounds like it kind of goes together anyway. So
I remember like waiting impatiently for these fucking singles to come out. And when the first one came out, I was like, holy shit, this is 1,000 times better than anything off Danger Days. And then I got the
Yeah,
second
because these
single.
were recorded at the same time as Danger Days.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
maybe I feel like Ambulance and Gun would have fit into that.
Yeah, they're very Danger Days sound.
Yeah.
Sound like way more. And I died. I lost
Yeah.
my
But like I put it all together because as they were coming out, like they weren't working for me that well. And I think around this time is when they broke up by the time I got to this. So I was like pissed off at them because it's like, you're fucking, like, come on. Fucking Green Day still putting out albums. Fucking Aerosmith still putting out albums. What the fuck? They called it quits, so I didn't give this album a chance until much later. And now it's green for me. I love this record. I want them to repress this on vinyl, like, as one package. Oh, shit out of that.
For sure.
So yeah, good. I would actually agree because in all just some of my little research, because comments, a lot of these could be interpreted as just continuations of the Danger Day and the Journey of the Killjoys and everything else, especially like The Light Behind Your Eyes. They commented that could be, the band talking themselves, or it could be the one band's character, talking, during that whole storyline. Like they're all good songs. I feel like, wow, it's not, again, similar to, Danger Days. Like it's not MCR as much with some of them as listening to, like they reeled it in a little bit compared to Danger Days. I will say that, but there's some other, just the sounds weren't as good for me. It's still a good album, but compared to their other albums, it was just, Which, I mean, the joke to be made, they never released it as an album and they broke up. So maybe that was the reason that they broke up. Who knows?
Yeah, even on Spotify, which is where I listened to it, it was listed as 5 different volumes of like an A side and a B side. That was it.
Yeah, they put them out 2 songs. Like I hated Ambulance and Gun, but now Gun's like my favorite tracks on the record.
I was about to say, I was like, a couple of these are definitely could be number 6s or number 5s or number 4s for sure. Like Gun was really good. I thought Make Room was a lot of fun too. I think that it's cool that it's shorter, more focused. There's not a lot of there's no fat. It's been trimmed to just the point and the end, and that's it. Volume 3 is my least favorite. Thought those were not good ballads for me, but other than that, I liked everything else. Everything else was a lot of fun. Tim or
yeah, and I was gonna kind of, I mean, you really said everything I got out of this. The third, the balladies were a bit of a dip, but everything else on here was pretty rocking, actually. Reminded me a lot of the first 2 albums, energy-wise. And it was none of the experimentation of Danger Days.
Mhm.
These are just more straight ahead rock songs. And I appreciated that. I thought there was a lot of really good stuff here. Boy Division had a really cool guitar part. Tomorrow's Money was full of energy. Gun was great. Kiss the Ring reminded me of Detroit Rock City, but it was great nonetheless. I also liked Make Room a lot. Surrender the Night was pretty cool. Like, overall, I thought this was a really good compilation and, group of songs. And even with the ballads right in the middle, it flowed really well. It had a really nice A-side, B-side feel to it. So ODD effect for that vinyl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. ODD effect for MCR5 coming out.
Well, is there a release date for that? Because I just have to mention the Foundations of Decay is amazing. I love that song. Like, I'm looking forward to hearing what their next record is going to sound like. Is there any news about that?
No, the last news week, because people were fucking the fans.
Yeah.
But Frank tweeted a picture of a fortune cookie thing that said "Good things are come to those who wait" or something, like a
Sweet.
couple weeks ago. And they say, like, Frank, whenever he did that in previous albums, so something's coming.
Sweet.
I'm ready for it, though. Yeah, you're right. The Foundation's Decay is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But Conventional Weapons,
So
yeah.
we know how we're ranking, too, by process of elimination.
Where's the hole?
It's my least favorite only because it's not really a concept record, but musically, it I jam out to it more nowadays than I would Danger Days, so I still fucking highly recommend it. Tim's got it his number 2.
It's a solid collection of songs.
Yeah.
It matches the energy of the first two and the songwriting of the two previous to it. So I think it's a really good album.
And Colquitt has it at number 4, only beating Bullets. That's hashtag ex-girlfriend bias.
Only because it's like well, no, it has nothing to do with that. I just didn't enjoy it as much as my other music. But no, I like this. It's really good. It's just it's very bare bones, and since it's so bare bones, the ones that are lows seem even lower because there's not a lot to compare them to. You know what I mean? And that kind of just brought it down for me.
All right, and Bill has it down at the bottom as well.
So and honestly, probably because it wasn't an actual full complete album when it was released, there was no overarching story or concept. I mean, you can kind of get one there if you really look into it and force something, which I hate it when people force stuff like that. Like, it's still good songs, not great songs, good songs. It's still good sounds, not great sounds, but good sounds. Like, it's still a Green album for me, but it's, compared to the other ones, something had to go number 5. And, well, leave it to the one that wasn't an album so much as a collection of songs to just go into the number 5 slot.
I mean,
Yeah.
I slept on this album, like, cause after Ambulance Gone, I was like, what the fuck? And like the third one came out, I listened to it once. I was like, whatever. I threw it in my folder, and as the other ones came out, like I didn't really bother to fucking listen to it as a whole until years later. I'm like, this is actually a really good fucking collection of songs together.
Yeah.
So highly recommend it. I still fucking love it, but
No
let's
reds.
go at the bottom. No reds for me. No yellows for
reds.
me.
No yellows for me either.
So yeah. Anybody else got anything to add? Or you want to get the top songs?
I mean, I find it kind of. I mean, granted, there's only 5 albums, so there isn't a whole lot of room for movement here. But I guess I find it interesting that some of us had some discrepancy on everything else, but like 3 Cheers was almost unanimous number 1, and it was number 2. Like, you know, kind of interesting that we still have like one album that we all felt relatively the same on.
Honestly, I could easily switch my 1 and 2, no problem. Like that would actually probably should, but I've already did it just to be contrarian.
I think you talked better about Three cheers than you do the Black Parade.
Well, I originally I was going to put it at 4, but then I had like an epiphany and I was like, you know what? This is it's a solid album. I had to think about it in a technical term. I was like, as far as the album and progression of music goes, it's the best.
Post
But
a
not
link to
as
this video on
songs.
the
Not necessarily
Reddit.
the songs. The best progression, I would say.
We'll get banned from that Reddit too.
Hey, at least the epiphany existed. They can't ask for much more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked that I like this band. I didn't expect when Cowboys had come listen to this. It's usually some fucking, what was that fucking The Starting Line? It was crap like that.
Yeah.
This one he got me on. I'll give him that. He got me on this one. So
yeah, this band at least rocks. A lot of those bands that were considered emo or whatever just were very placid, I would say.
if you look at the influences of the, they quote for the Black Parade, it's, not a lot of bands in the 2000s were saying, yeah, we want to write a song like Queen and Bowie and Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
They even said the Smashing Pumpkins inspired him. So there you go.
Well, I think Gerard Way is technically Billy Corgan's illegitimate son. Look.
Oh yeah, you do have that theory.
Yeah.
How could it be technical and illegitimate?
Oh.
So you see, there was a goat.
That would be me. It's 9 o'clock on a Sunday night. That's what that is for me, man.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense.
All right. With that, we're going to wrap this
Literally,
up.
figuratively. Literally and figuratively.
Give us a like, subscribe, find out what our favorite top songs are. And we're going to talk about the artwork on Friday. So happy Halloween. Be safe. Make spooky decisions.
And stay away from the food court.